Australia's history begins with the First Nations people, the Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander peoples, who have lived on the continent for over 60,000 years. They developed rich cultures, languages, spiritual beliefs, and a deep connection to the land. Their societies were diverse, with hundreds of language groups and complex trade networks across the continent. In 1606, Dutch navigator Willem Janszoon became the first known European to land on Australia's coast. Over the following century, Dutch, Spanish, and French explorers mapped parts of the land, calling it New Holland. However, it was not until 1770 that Captain James Cook, sailing for Britain, charted the east coast and claimed it for the British Crown, naming it New South Wales. In 1788, the first fleet of British ships arrived at Botany Bay, led by Captain Arthur Phillip. This marked the beginning of British colonisation. Sydney Cove was chosen as the site of the first settlement, initially a penal colony for convicts transported from Britain. Life was harsh, resources were limited, and conflict with Aboriginal people grew as land was taken and traditional ways of life were disrupted. Disease, displacement, and violence led to catastrophic losses for Indigenous communities. During the 1800s, free settlers began to arrive, and new colonies were established. Van Diemen's Land, later called Tasmania, separated from New South Wales in 1825. Western Australia was founded in 1829. South Australia, unique as a free colony, was established in 1836. Victoria broke away from New South Wales in 1851, followed by Queensland in 1859. Each colony developed its own economy, often based on farming, mining, and trade. The discovery of gold in the 1850s brought rapid growth and immigration, but also conflict and inequality. Throughout the 19th century, expansion pushed further into Aboriginal lands, resulting in frontier wars, massacres, and continued loss for Indigenous peoples. At the same time, cities like Sydney, Melbourne, Adelaide, Brisbane, Perth, and Hobart began to grow into important centres of population and commerce. By the late 1800s, the 6 colonies were largely self-governing but remained under British control. There was growing interest in uniting as one nation. On January 1, 1901, the colonies federated to become the Commonwealth of Australia. Each colony became a state within the Federation, and a federal parliament was established in Canberra, a purpose-built capital chosen as a compromise between Sydney and Melbourne. In the 20th century, Australia's identity continued to develop. The country fought alongside Britain in World War I and World War II, and later strengthened ties with the United States. Waves of immigration after the Second World War transformed Australia into a multicultural society. Economically, the nation grew through agriculture, mining, and industry. Politically, it remained a constitutional monarchy under the British Crown, with its own independent government and democracy. At the same time, Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander peoples began to organise for recognition and rights. The 1967 referendum gave the federal government power to make laws for Indigenous Australians and included them in the census. The land rights movement gained strength, and in 1992, the High Court's Mabo decision overturned the idea of terra nullius, acknowledging that Indigenous peoples had lived on and owned the land long before British settlement. Today, Australia is a nation of 6 states and 2 territories. Its major cities include Sydney, Melbourne, Brisbane, Perth, Adelaide, Hobart, Canberra, and Darwin. Each city and state has its own unique history and character, but together they form a diverse and modern country with deep roots in both ancient Aboriginal culture and more recent colonial and immigrant histories. The history of Australia is one of survival, resilience, and transformation. From the world's oldest continuing cultures to British colonisation, from penal settlements to bustling cities, from a group of colonies to a united federation, Australia's journey has been complex and challenging. Its story continues to evolve as the nation seeks reconciliation with its first peoples and looks toward the future as a vibrant and multicultural society. Don't forget to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and hit the bell icon so you never miss an update.